Hey guys, welcome to the Homestead. If you've been on my channel before, you know that I like to review and go over a lot of these solar power generators is what they're called. And for the most part, I've had pretty good luck. There's been a few different ones that I've reviewed that I have not liked. This one, the Oupes brand, again, shines true. And I have really enjoyed seeing what these are capable of. And I like the fact that they're constantly improving on their products. They're constantly giving new features for their customers. Anyway, so I want to go over this one here. This is the Mac Daddy of all solar generators. And now when I say solar generator, I mean you use solar power. You can use solar power. These are built to use solar power to fill up a battery and then provide power to your tools. That's what a generator does. A generator uses some sort of fuel source, whether it's gasoline or solar, to provide a source of energy to power things. And that's what these do. So here's how I have mine set up. On the side of my house, I have two solar panels that are dedicated strictly for these sort of units. And so what I need to do is when I want to use these and power them up is I take them inside. I have a place in my mudroom, and then I have these two wires that come out of that are run from my solar panels on the side of the house. They come up through the floorboard, through the paneling, and then they come to a terminal, what's called an Anderson jack. And that Anderson jack plugs into these units. And when you plug them in, the solar outside powers these solar generators inside and charges the batteries. And so when I got this unit, it was about 65% filled up, 64, 65%. And within 3 hours of those two solar panels, those are 300 watts each, within 3 hours, it was completely charged, 100%. And now it's just now sitting at 99% because I've been playing with it and I let it sit for a week. So one of the things I do when I get these things, because I've noticed this about some other brands out there, is that I'll get one of these units in, I'll charge it to capacity, and then I'll just let it sit and see how long it takes for it to just sit and go down. Meaning the batteries just aren't very good batteries. They won't hold a charge. And this thing sat for a week without me messing with it, and it was still at 100%. Now that I've played with it, and I've used it on some tools and some things we're going to show you and talk about, yeah, it went down to about 99%. Just testing some tools out to see if it would even work. I was kind of skeptical, and so was Tim, about whether or not this was going to even power some of our tools that we have in the workshop, because there are some other generators that we have, gas, fuel-powered generators, that won't even run those things. And so we were skeptical, will this run it? And I have to tell you, it's a glowing report. It powered every single one of them. The biggest one that we have is a very high amperage table saw, and it ran that without any problems whatsoever. The next thing we ran was a planer. We ran a small planer, not a big one, but a small planer, and it powered that no problem. And then we powered up a grinder. It ran that no problem. Not an issue at all. And then we ran another saw, and that ran with no problems. And then we hooked it up to a couple of other tools that we had in the workshop. No problems at all. They all ran fine. No issues. And so it's like if you are on a job site, this is basically what they're calling contractor grade. A contractor grade solar generator that you can use and power up tools on a work site. So let's just say you're building a barn. Let's say you're on a homestead and you're building, a new outbuilding of some sort. And you've got tools out. You've got, power tools out. This is something that you can use on that tool, on that work site, that's going to work well for you. It's dust proof. It's not waterproof, but it's basically got the second highest rating of water resistance, meaning it can rain on it. It can get it splashed. Water's not going to hurt it. It's got a giant, this is solid steel right here. This whole casing, all of this is solid steel. So you can sit on it. You can stand on it. It's not going to mess with it. Most of these things that you buy out there are made of plastic or some sort of composite material. This is made of steel. It's got a steel shell on the outside of it, which I think is really cool. It's got an AC output of 4,000 watts with a peak of 7,000, which is, really good for most tools you're going to run. In fact, I think we have tools that have a peak startup of higher than that, and this still worked fine with those. As always, it's a pure sine wave inverter, and it's made with lithium iron phosphate batteries. This is a very stable type of battery. You got to be really careful out there today, folks. Some of these power units that they're selling are not made with lithium iron phosphate. They're made with lithium ion or they're made with nickel, manganese, cobalt, the NMC type batteries, and they are not stable. They will catch on fire. Some people say they explode, even though that's not true. They don't explode. They just catch on fire very rapidly. But they can be very hard to put out if they do catch on fire. But these are made with the lithium iron phosphate batteries, a much more stable battery, safer battery that you can feel confident in. One of the things you can probably only halfway see on camera is this large wheel. They come with large wheels. Let me move the camera over there. See that? Look at that. Look at that big honking thing. It allows being able to move this a lot more easy. A lot more easy. Is that right, grammar? A lot easier over terrain, especially on a homestead here in the Ozarks. So you basically got this handle that lifts up like that, and then you can lift it up. Whoa, whoa, hold on, don't go anywhere. You're there. Oh, I can't lift it up. So that's one of the downsides of this thing. It's got to have this handle. It's 150 pounds. So it's no joke when it comes to weight. It weighs 150 pounds, which is probably, I would expect, somewhere around the ballpark of some of those other gas power generators that you're going to buy in the market, especially the big ones that are going to run tools like this is made to run, like the big, powered table saws and things like that. They're going to be big honking generators. And so they're heavy, but this is just as heavy. One of the other benefits of something like this is that it does have the ability to daisy chain with other batteries that they sell. So on the back side here, there's a port where you can plug in a battery, an external battery that they sell for these things, and you can daisy chain like I think up to 8 of those batteries together, and you can power an entire home. And I have met people who do this, and there's a lot of people, a growing number of people who are doing this, buying something like this, installing in their home a transfer switch that allows a unit like this and the accompanied battery banks to power their entire home. But let me say there's a caveat to that. However, and in life there is always a however. This does not provide 240 power. Okay, it only is 120. So if you have a HVAC system that only runs on 240, this isn't going to work. If you have like a welder that runs on 240, this isn't going to work. This is only a 120 power supply. So that is a downside that you have to keep in mind, especially if you're going to use it to power a home that you may have appliances for, like a dryer that requires 240 power. One other downside is that it doesn't have DC power other than a USB hookup right here. But there's no like DC cigarette outlets or any other types of DC power. This is mostly just for AC power when it comes to tools on a contractor or a construction site. That's what this is built for. Now, a lot of you guys probably remember some of these other Oupes units that I've done, I've reviewed. I use them as a backup for my emergency power when it comes to ham radio communications. My ham radio communications, GMRS communications. If you wanted something substantial for like emergency communications for ham radio, I would highly recommend the Oupes Mega 3. I can give a link below for that too. If you go to the same website, it'll get you over to look at the Mega 3. The Mega 3 provides DC power, and as I've showcased in my videos before, is an excellent way to power communications like ham radio or GMRS base stations. So what is this best suited for? I would say best suited for construction sites. It says it's a contractor grade power supply for contractor tools, the kind of tools that a contractor might use. But also, for, just regular tools you might have around the home. Other than that, when it comes to things like what I always say, freezers, because usually that's the thing people ask me about the most. Freezers. Zach, I've got a freezer full of meat. What's the best way that I can ensure that my freezer is going to be safe if a power outage happens long term? Having something like this set aside, and maybe 1 or 2 battery banks, even just this unit by itself, but maybe an extra battery bank or 2, with the addition of a couple solar panels that you have dedicated just for powering up a system like this and charging it, like I have on the side of my home. That would be a fantastic way to ensure you're always going to have freezer power when you need it. As long as your freezer stays good, you're going to have power for it. And so a lot of you guys are like me. You may have a bunch of meat stashed away, and you buy that half cow, you buy that full cow, that full half a beef, full side of beef, full whole beef, whatever, and you put it in the freezer, and you eat on it for a year, maybe more, depending on how big your family is. You want to make sure, that's a lot of money. You want to make sure that's going to stay safe. And so something like this would work well for that. That's usually the thing I get inquired about the most. But also keep in mind things like emergency medical equipment, people who are on different machines. They have different machines in their home for medical purposes and emergencies. This would be great. It's going to have a large amount of power that you can use to supply that stuff for a long period of time. So this would be excellent for that as well. Now, full disclosure, Oupes sent this to me. I did not buy this. They sent me this to review. I have reviewed a number of their products before, and if I thought it wouldn't work, I'd tell you it doesn't work. Okay. One of the other units that they did send me did show up in kind of banged up condition, but I think that was a shipping issue. It was not their fault, and they were quick to send me a new one. But listen, if I have told people often on my channel, if you send me garbage, I will tell people it's garbage. And most of the time, I have found these things work really well. I am glad that I have one, or actually a couple, because if an emergency happened where I needed emergency power, especially for communications and my freezer, I'm glad that I have that. And I have met a number of you too also out there in my audience who have gotten these units and who are happy with them. If for some reason you're not happy with them, let me know why. Let me know why you got one and it just didn't work out, or you don't think it was good enough, or whatever. I'd love to hear your stories. Leave a comment below. And the company might use that also as feedback. That's something about this company that I have also learned. They value feedback from customers and end users. So if you have feedback like that, share it, please. A lot of you like the idea of solar generators, and there's a lot of you out there who don't. You like the idea of these gasoline-powered generators. Well, let me break it to you, sweetheart. If the collapse happens and the grid goes down, there's not going to be gas at your local gas station. So what you're going to have is some other sort of alternative energy system that you can use for different power needs. And if you have a couple dedicated solar panels, maybe 2 or 3 of those, and you have a system like this, or maybe one like this, or 2 like this, with some maybe additional battery banks that you can plug and daisy chain together, that's going to give you way more options than that gas-powered generator, that normal, conventional fuel-powered generator will give you. Okay, that's why I share this with my audience. I get approached by a lot of companies, and I go tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine, because I'm not interested in their products, because I don't see it has a lot of benefit to a lot of people. And some of them are just outright crazy expensive for what they're getting. Yes, these units can be a little bit pricey, but that's why I'm reviewing them, because I think you're getting the most bang for your buck. There's so many ways you can use this. If you came to me with a product where I didn't think you could use it, then I wouldn't promote it. I wouldn't, show it to my audience. But this has options. There's opportunity here. And I think it'd be great if you had a couple of these, or at least one of these, for a backup power source. And it's money well spent. You're not wasting those dollars. They are kind of pricey, some of them, depending on how big you get, but you're not wasting those dollars. All right, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Go ahead and leave a comment below. Let me know if you have a system like this. Let me know what system you have. But let me ask you this. Does the system you have lithium iron phosphate batteries? Are you sure they have lithium iron phosphate batteries? Because that is important when it comes to safety. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, please hit that like button before you go. It lets YouTube know that people watching and enjoying my channel. I'd appreciate you doing that. All right, guys. See you next time in the homestead. Bye. Hey guys, real quick before I go, those are my antennas for my GMRS and CB and ham radio systems. If you're interested, I have videos over at my Patreon page where you can watch on how I have those set up, how they're wired, and how they're alternatively powered with my Oupes backup solar generators. If you're interested in all that, I have those videos over at my Patreon. Patreon link for An American Homestead is down below in the description. See you next time in the homestead. Bye. One of the best perks about living off-grid is that I never pay an electric bill. I love being my own power company, but that means when things go wrong, I have to be the one on call. So I try and use reliable components for my power production. For the last couple of years, I've been promoting Oupes solar generators. I've been using them and abusing them, and as it turns out, they are pretty good products. They have power generators for all occasions, and they can be charged by permanent or portable solar panels, as well as AC power. They offer true lithium iron phosphate batteries, and this is important. Recently, a family in my area had a different brand that uses the less stable nickel manganese cobalt, or NMC type batteries. The unit caught fire in the middle of the night. It was a scary situation and it caused damage to the home, but thankfully nobody was hurt. The generator, as you can see, was a total loss. This drives home the point on why it's so important to employ solar generators like the Oupes brand that uses the much more safe and stable technology of lithium iron phosphate, otherwise called LiFePO4. They offer small generators for travel or for powering an entire home and everything in between. These are great backups to have in a medical emergency or to power a freezer full of your favorite meat products, or as I have shown in past videos, for even backup AC and DC power sources for ham radio communications. If the grid goes down, you're going to be thankful you have one of these units. You can find the link in the description of this video or click on the banner ad found on the front page of our website at AmericanHomestead.com. Right here, that banner ad right there on AmericanHomestead.com. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. Oh wait.